Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, joined by my good friend. I am, of course, your Raiders beat writer. This is our assistant beat writer, the great Zeke Trezevant. Boy, we got a lot to talk about. Zeke, yesterday, my article dropped, and we got into the 10 biggest disagreements, and there was more, but 10 biggest between Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels. And I know there was a lot of people that thought, who cares? They're gone. But if you don't go back and know the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And I think it was a classic example of why I think Mark Davis needs to have a GM, let the GM make the hire of the coach. What'd you think of the article? What'd you think of all of it? Let's dig into that.
Yeah, 100%. So in terms of the article itself, you and I have discussed. I felt like that article was even better than the last insider article that you had dropped with a lot of tidbits in there. I think this article did a great job of showing the. So basically, Ziegler and Josh McDaniels were essentially tied at the hip. I think this article did a good job at kind of separating them, if you will. Now that they're both out of the door. So I think with the specifics that we're giving in the article, it's not hard to see that, hey, one person had a little bit better of an idea of what was going on than the other. But I also think that situation in general does say that, hey, you got to get you a GM that is independent of the head coach. And I think the article itself did a good job of painting that picture.
I've been told by several people I would never hire an offensive coach because they always think, let's just spend more money on offense and outscore people. You need balance. And to me, what impressed me about not impressed me is probably not the right word, but what I noticed most about Dave and Josh was that Dave had more understanding about he looked down the road. Let's think about tomorrow. Let's not just worry about today. I mean, when you looked at him wanting to go for Jacoby Brissett and then wanting to keep Jarrett Stidham and then go after CJ Stroud, how different would this team look today?
Very
I mean, it was
much. Very
just
much.
fascinating to me.
Yeah,
Of
it
the
was.
10,
Huh?
I'm sorry, please go ahead.
No, no, of the 10, I'm listening.
The 10 disagreements, what one stood out to you most?
I think the one that you actually brought up in terms of the three different quarterbacks, that to me, just simply because Josh beat the table so hard for Garoppolo, that stuck out to me more than anything. There's, you can be wrong, but you can't be that wrong on everything.
Mhm.
I would also say the fact that, just in a very general sense, it seemed like Dave, he was able to make decisions or make suggestions independent of necessarily personal beliefs. It seemed like he had a very even keeled kind of no bias, no ties, no strings attached kind of look at everything. Whether it was personnel moves, whether it was money that was being spent, whatever it may be, it seemed like he always had a pretty level and even keeled approach to things. Not to say that Dave was never wrong, but in terms of those 10, 11 specific things, it seemed like he always was the more level headed of the two.
All right, I want to switch now because we talked about, I wrote the article, even though they are gone, so that people can have an understanding of why things need to be different. So, for example, John Gruden wanted Damon Arnett. Anyone from Big Ten country, which I came from covering 4 years ago, knew Damon Arnett, no bueno, not good. I knew several NFL executives that the moment the Raiders picked him, well, there you go. Welcome to the Raiders. I mean, several, my friends. And I know of, I'm going to guess probably close to 10 teams in which Damon Arnett was not even on their board, which meant if he went undrafted, they wouldn't have even signed him. Mayock was not a big Arnett guy, but Gruden wanted him. And I just think, listen, and I love John Gruden. This is not a slam on John Gruden, but I just think it's a classic example where a coach looks at things and sees things. And it's like, as a hunter, being in the middle of the woods, I can tell you what the trees around me look like, but not all the trees. but a guy in a helicopter can tell you about all the trees. I just think you need that general manager who has final authority. Agree or disagree?
Agreed. And again, to that point, and I firmly believe this, right? I firmly believe the GM has to have that, that autonomy almost to make that decision. Obviously, owner plays a part in it. Obviously, head coach plays a part in it, but he has to be able to make that decision confident that neither one of those other two people are going to overrule him. Because then at that point, it's kind of like, why do you even have a GM? That's literally the GM's job. So I think to that point and to the point that you made earlier in terms of, hey, you look at the last, head coach and GM, and then the coach and GM before that, it's almost like a soap opera. You have to know what happened the seasons before, or else what's happening now and what's about to happen won't make sense. So I think the article did a great job at covering that. And I also think it points to just how important the Raiders, this place that the Raiders find themselves in, it is. So, after this season, whatever decision they make at GM or head coach, this is a huge, huge time in Raider land right now coming up.
All right. Now, on Wednesday, I wrote an article about Mark Davis facing a legacy defining decision. And I think this next one is for a lot of reasons. We know he's a superior businessman to his father. That's not even a question. But he's not the football guy. The last two coaches, he gave the power to, last two coaching changes gave the power to the coach. It's going to be who's he listening to? It's going to be all of those things. Clearly, he's not getting younger. And so to me, I think this next hire is going to be a legacy defining decision by him. Do you think, because you're younger than me, do you think I overstated it?
No, not at all. And you got to think, at that, if you go, and when I say you, I mean Mark Davis, if he goes, 3 swings at GM and coach and he fails, at that point, you kind of have to look in the mirror, right? Then it is your decision making that you have to kind of, decide what's going on there. So I don't think you overstated it by any means. And I think if it was a different organization than the Raiders, maybe. But since we're talking about one of the most historical franchises in the National Football League's history, it is a very pivotal time, no matter how you look at it. So Mark has to.
And remember, he's had a chance to hire more than 3.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be 4.
Yeah. So Mark, he's got to hit on this one. I feel like he knows that. And I feel like he's ready for it. I think the decision is going to take some time, though. I don't think it's going to be anything that comes too soon. But I think when he's ready to make that decision, I think this time Mark is going to make it, and I think he's going to make the right one.
I wrote on Wednesday, though, it's going to be interesting who's he listening to. Does he listen to Tom Brady, Jim Gray? Does he listen to former players? This is going to be an interesting time for him.
Very much so. Very much so. And like you said, we know obviously he's not his father, for better or for worse, but I think that always sticks in the back of his head too, in terms of, come on, who wouldn't that be the case for? You're stepping in the shadows of a great man in terms of Al Davis. So I think he wants to get this one right. I think he wants to put a productive team on the field, and at least, give his dad a run for his money in that area in terms of production on the football field.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, Zeke. So let's look ahead. The Raiders will be back next week. Vikings, quick turnaround, Chargers. 2 winnable games.
Yes.
2 winnable games. I would go as far as saying, had AP been the coach when they went to LA, they would have beaten the Chargers.
Agreed.
I think the Raiders win both of these, but these are 2 big games. You got a Sunday and a Thursday. Mm-hmm. So literally Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, within a 5-day span, bam, you can be back to 7-on-7. Woo! Yodelay. That's big.
There you
go. That's big.
Yes,
How
sir.
big are these 2 games?
They're huge, especially with both of them coming at home, right? So everything is still right there in front of them, right? Obviously, they definitely need some things to happen in terms of the playoff, push. But, again, nobody thought they were going to the Super Bowl to start the year. So at this point, you just want to put your best foot forward if you're on the team. And I think they will. I think they're going to look at it like, hey, let's knock out these next 2 at home. Get ready, because obviously with that Thursday night game, they're going to have more time to kind of rest and get right after that. I think they're going to kind of, get prepared and get ready to go. So they'll win the next 2, if you ask me.
All right. I think so, too. All right. So I'm going to ask you a question. And obviously, there's a lot of intangibles. I have said, and you know this, since AP got the job, he's got to go win it. He needs to make it so difficult that there is no chance Mark Davis, regardless of who's in his ear, can walk away. If he finishes and wins all 5, which I don't think he's going to do, I think he's going to lose to the Chiefs. But let's say he wins all 5 and ends up 10-7. Is he an automatic hire?
The word automatic is the only thing that's giving me pause, because you just never, obviously you just never know. But I think just about, yes, if he wins the next 5, including Kansas City on the road Christmas Day, yeah, I think yeah, you got to go automatic. Yes, sir.
I think it's automatic because I think 10 gets him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If he goes 9-8, which is what I think he's going to do you think he keeps the job?
I think it's a little bit more of a toss up at that point. Obviously,
I'm going to go here.
Yeah.
I think if he goes 9-8 and Mark Davis does not give him the job, I think there is going to, and you're in the locker room with me, there's going to be a mutiny.
Yeah. Yeah. The guys love him, and the love is real.
Do you not agree with me, or do you think I'm overstating it?
No, I think there will definitely be some voices that will be heard, especially from your bigger names in the locker room, for sure. Especially your Maxes, some other guys as well. So yes, 100%.
Right. 8-9.
Nope. I think 9 has to. I think 9 is the only thing that's going to make it where he has an argument, fair or unfair. I think 9 is going to be the only, and the reason I say that is because some of the issues that the Raiders have are bigger than AP. So I think that's going to play into it. And I'm not sure that Mark doesn't want to make a splash. I think that's part of what's going to weigh on him too, is he wants to put a big name in there, fortunately or unfortunately. So, it's going to be interesting.
And if he gets to 7, I don't think he gets the job if he gets to 7.
No.
If he gets to more than 7, I think he gets the job. I don't think Mark will want to give it to him at 8.
Yeah.
Or I don't think the people around Mark are going to want Mark. And when I say that, I don't mean people in the building.
Yeah.
I mean people outside the building.
Agreed.
But I'm just telling you, he gets to 8 and they don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, after not going for Bisaccia, who was a much more proven coach.
Yeah.
He'd been coaching a lot longer. But I believe, and Mark's not told me this, but I believe that Mark regrets not hiring Bisaccia.
Yeah.
And you fire the last coach that you told everybody you weren't going to fire. You owe him $45 million. Or let's see, what would that be? It'd be a 6-year deal, 5. All right. And now you got a guy who's maybe even more popular than Bisaccia. Maybe. It's pretty close. And you're going to tell these players, I'm listening to you, I'm listening to you, I'm listening to you, and then turn around and fire them again?
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I think Mark Davis has painted himself into a little bit of a corner here.
Yeah, he's definitely, listen, he's got some tough decisions to make coming up here soon, for a lot of different reasons. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what he does in terms of AP, because the guys love him, man. They do, and they come out and they play for him. Win, lose, or draw, they're playing their best, which you didn't necessarily know before AP took over. So we're going to see what Mark does.
Do you think fans have been fair with AP?
No, overall, no. But I'll say it again. I've said it a couple of times, but I'll say it again. I think it's just a day and age of instant gratification that we live in. And I also think that fans don't fully understand, I don't want to say the game, but they don't understand everything that goes into it. I guess I should say they don't understand that, hey, you can coach as hard as you want to, but the players still have to go execute, right? I don't think most people understand that if a player takes a half step the wrong way or at the wrong time, the whole play breaks down, right? So I think when you take everything into consideration, they have been, a little unfair to AP and to some of the Raiders in general, the players.
Yeah, I throw out the extremes. I just mute them. Well, you've been next to me. I just mute them. But I listen, and I'll hear people say, "Boy, I don't think AP's ready. Um, he made this mistake or that mistake." Well, that's going to happen with a first-time coach. And I'm not for hiring first-time coaches. So when AP got the interim tag, I said, "This is great because now he gets to learn on the job." It just amazes me I mean, people want to say Bo Hardigree is crap. Okay, he got rid of a ton of a playbook that Aiden couldn't run, or they didn't have the personnel. The Raiders have found a running game. He's trying to develop stuff. And oh, by the way, doing it after the trade deadline, halfway through the season. I mean,
you have to look at the whole picture. You do. Like, you have to take everything. Like, AP isn't just a new coach. He overtook this ship halfway through the season, and it was a surprise to him. He didn't go into the Detroit Lions game knowing, hey, in 4 days I'm going to be the interim head coach, right? So imagine just the whirlwind of, hey, I was a linebackers coach to now I'm a head coach to I'm head coaching against my old team that I want to, like, just imagine what the last 4 weeks have been like for AP, for Bo, for Aiden. People, it's a lot, right? These guys they're human, right? These guys, they come across like gladiators. They strap their helmets up like AP says, and they go out there and they play superheroes. But at the end of the day, they're humans just like we are. And in that sense, I think some people forget that, come Sundays.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'm going to turn to a couple other subjects. If Mark Davis decides, okay, I'm going to hire AP, doesn't he have to hire Champ Kelly?
I would think so. Just for continuity's sake. I don't see how you could, they're not necessarily as attached at the hip as Dave and Josh were, but considering this situation, I think you would, why would you keep AP and get rid of the guy that's helped bring in a lot of the talent, right? Or had a hand in it, right?
Well, here's the problem. If you hire AP and fire Champ, then you come in with a general manager that AP's not his guy. You set him up to fail.
Yeah. It's to me, that would be counterproductive to hire AP and get rid of Champ. I think you're kind of I don't want to say co-signing Champ, if you will, but if you sign AP, you have to, I would imagine you have to keep Champ for sure.
All right. I'm going to throw an idea out here. I want you to tell me what you think. Let's assume they get to 8 or 9 wins. Okay. Which I think pretty good chance they get to 8 or 9. If I'm Mark Davis, I go to Champ Kelly and make sure, do you want to keep him? Okay. Now, I know the answer to that's going to be yes. Great. You're my general manager. Great. Hire him. Do a press conference. 3 or 4 days later, you have a press conference to announce AP's the man. And I say that you give AP this contract, a 3-year deal, fully guaranteed, 100%, for $4 million a year. But you tell him, you get to the playoffs at any time during those 3 years, it automatically is extended 5 more years. 5 more. And your raise goes to 10 million. And we go back retroactively to the day you hired and make up that $6 million difference. AP is going to take that deal right now. That guy will bet on himself. I think it's a great deal. It covers Mark Davis. It allows AP to prove himself. I think it's a great contract. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. In terms of the numbers, I've never been the best when it came to contract numbers, but I do think a sliding scale of some sort like that would make sense. I started smiling when you first said 3 years, because before you even said it, the first number that came in my head was 3 years. You had Josh in there for what, a year and a half. You were going to give him two, so I think you kind of have to give AP 2, 3 to really see what he can do. So I definitely think starting off with a 3-year contract is fair, and letting him know, hey, again, playoffs or success of whatever kind will get you an extension of some sort. So I do think that's fair. I think it's fair to everybody, right? I think AP would understand, relatively new coach, brand new coach that protects the team, protects the coach, everybody wins. I think that makes sense. But I do think that sweet spot of 3 to 5 years is going to be perfect for AP.
Yeah, and I think so. Let's say year 2, he gets to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's extended 5 years, so now he's got 6 years left.
Mm-hmm.
At 10 mil. I think it's completely fair. And I'm going to tell you, I don't want to take credit for that. I originally was told that by a GM.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It sounds like it makes a lot of sense, right? Like
Yeah, the GM
on all
told me
reports.
with all the money Mark has on the books,
Mm-hmm.
with Gruden and with McDaniels and with Ziegler and all of that kind of stuff. Now, so here's the next one. Gus Bradley was doing a very good job with Rich Bisaccia in the defense. They get rid of him. Bradley's out. Patrick Graham's done an amazing job. You make a change, he goes. You feel further. I mean, you're letting good people go. This is why I'm saying Mark is in a really precarious place.
I'll be honest with you. In my mind, there was no way Patrick Graham does not return next year. Whoever, from considering what he's
Oh
done.
no, I think you're wrong.
I,
If Champ doesn't get that job,
yeah, I just thought he did such a great job in terms of everything he's been handed, everything
I
he's dealt
agree.
with.
I agree. Remember
Yeah.
all the grief I took this past offseason telling everybody how good that Patrick was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's terrible. He should go. You're just shilling for the organization. No, he's that good.
Yeah. Like he's good. He's good. And it's, it's been pretty cool. It's been nice to watch him, in what he's been able to do with that defense. But yeah, like you said, if Champ's not there, if AP's not there, then it doesn't really stop. There's nothing stopping the organization from getting, rid of Patrick as well. But, considering all he's done with what he's been given, I thought that was you got to keep him, but time will tell.
All right, hold on now. I'm going to read you a text. Okay. Let me grab this. You ready to laugh?
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you who this was later. Okay.
Okay.
When we're not on air. NFL general manager.
Okay.
Right after Marcus Peter and Teamer get cut. So you and I are sitting in the press room.
Uh-huh.
And it was right after we left the restaurant. Actually, it wasn't when we were in the thing. Quote, H-Man, that's what he calls me. I thought AP was all players coach. If that's true, why is he cutting Peters and Teamer? Doesn't sound like a player coach to me. LOL.
That's funny. That's funny.
I'm sorry, what?
I said that's funny. That's funny.
Well,
That's
it just kills the narrative.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want a players coach. You need a disciplinarian. Well,
A
hello.
players coach could be both. I mean, so I think so. Look at it like this. I think had the previous coaching staff been still there, the Marcus Peters situation would have gone down on the field in terms of lifetime. I don't think it would have went down like that. I think Marcus was able to calm down because he respected AP enough to say, you know what, this is the guy, I respect him. Let me relax. So I think being a player's coach makes it easier for players to listen to you, even when they don't necessarily want to. When it comes to Teamer, who else? I mean, come on, your head coach is a former player who's had to make the decision to cut a player or waive a player that did something wrong. You're not going to second guess AP because who understands better than him that you can't do what Teamer did? You know what I mean? So sometimes being a player coach makes it easier for you to be a disciplinarian because you were a player. So, and because the players identify with you.
And but when Marcus Peters, I mean, he went after Marcus, he threw that helmet
Mhm.
Katie bar the door, huh?
Yep. Yeah,
All right.
that was intense.
Let's look ahead now. And this is what I'm looking for against the Vikings. I want them to continue to expand the playbook, which I know they've worked on all off week. I want to watch them to continue to expand the offensive playbook, which they are. I love that they've addressed, I mean, no penalties, which is not sustainable. They're going to get, but like AP says, three or less. They got down to one sack. Um, I like where this is going, but I want to see again the offense get above 20, which I think it will. I do think it will do that against Minnesota. And that's important to me. But I also want to see when I talk about develop of this team, I want to see them continue to establish the run, but taking shots.
Yes.
Aiden's got the arm. Let him take a few more. To me, I want to see 4 deep shots a game. Now, you get the big lead in the third quarter and your running game's going. I don't want to see it. Just run the ball. But overall, if it's a close game, I want to see 3 a game. I want to see some more shots. I'm looking for that. How about you?
So I want to see them get their playmakers involved, but not so much so that it's hindering their offense. So it's happened a time or two with trying to get Devontae the ball, i.e. Chicago. That was the one game that, hey, you want to get him the ball, but not to the point where you can't get other people the ball or it's messing up your offense. I think as well as Josh ran against the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they became a little too dependent on the running game. And then what would happen is, okay, the Chiefs knew you're running the ball on first and second down. We get you there, and then good luck on third down. So get those guys the ball, but still be free flowing in your offense. I want to see Aiden be quicker on some of those deep throws and just say, hey, if I overthrow him, I overthrow him, but we got to get it out. Get it out of your hand quicker. And obviously don't make bad throws. But there was a time or two where had he just let it rip, they had a chance at some big plays. So I think that's going to help them get those 4 deep shots that you're looking for is Aiden just to actually let the ball go. And then what I want to do is I want to see the defense keep doing what they're doing, right? And do what they do as best they can, irregardless of what the offense does or does not do. And sometimes you see the defense come out playing well, and then after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 3 and outs from the offense, you kind of see the defense like, oh, they're almost like deja vu, like, oh, here we go again, you know. So I want to see them keep playing well no matter what the offense is doing for all 4 quarters, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right, I want to go in a little bit of a different direction here, because I want to get your analysis of this. What's the key to this Minnesota? I mean, to this bye week? What do you think? Obviously, guys getting healthy and getting rested, but from the coaching staff, what are you hoping they got accomplished in the bye week?
I hope that they have began or continued to put their own individual stamp on, and I'm speaking more so on the offense because most of the changes were offensively. I want to see them continue to put their and Bo's, stamp on the offense moving forward, and that's tough to do midseason. But obviously, with this week off, now you have a little bit more time to kind of come up with some new things, kind of add your own flavor to what you're calling on game day. So just Bo keep on doing what he's doing, but just find himself a little bit more. Obviously, they got to get healthy. That's a huge part of it is getting healthy. But they've got some things that they can fix too. But a lot of it's going to be on the offense and figuring out different ways to make the offense flow.
Yeah, I agree with you. Zeke, it's going to be nice having a weekend off, isn't it?
Very much so. Yes, sir.
I'm hoping that my wife gets healthy and I'm going to have a chance to go do some hunting. So I hope you get a chance to
Yes,
do
sir.
whatever you. I know you're not going to be hunting, but whatever you do for fun, have some fun, will you?
Yes, sir. You too. Enjoy that.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you. That's a great Zeke Trezevant. Remember, you can always find us right here at Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network. Don't forget to, if you check us out on Spotify or Apple, I do an exclusive audio only podcast every day. You can check it out. But from my assistant beat writer and all of us at Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raider Insider Podcast, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great night. God bless you. Thanks, Zeke.
Yes, sir.